Hi everybody, I've received a couple of messages, people wondering where I have been in the past couple of weeks, why aren't I updating as frequently as I used to, and the reason that I'm not making as many videos is because I'm spending more of my afternoons making corsets. So I'm actually chasing the sunlight right now, it's just setting, so I just wanted to take this time to quickly show you my corset. And this is a rainbow corset. I originally was going to make it for the Pride Parade because it was this last Saturday in Toronto. And I was hoping to make it, but I didn't. And I guess it doesn't really matter anyways because this is more of a pastel rainbow, not like the brighter rainbow. So it's not really the right colors anyways. But this pattern is once again the ribbon corset in the book Corsets and Crinolines by Norah Waugh. So this is the same pattern that as I used for the baby blue corset that I showed in a different video, except with this one I had used 4-inch wide blanket binding, fused it to a stronger backing, like a double crossed twill, and then basically sewed the panels in the shape that it was supposed to be sewn together instead of just laying out and overlapping the pieces of ribbon. So here is the front, the side, back, and the other side.
The first thing you realize when you see and or feel this corset is that it is sturdy as all get out. It kind of stands up on its own. It must be the way that I fused the blanket binding to the base fabric because it just kind of forms a tube, and as you can see it's kind of maintaining its shape even though it's not on me. So I've never had a corset do this before. I wish I had lined it. I didn't think I would have enough time to line it because I thought I was going to go to the parade, but since I didn't end up going and I had all this extra time, I wish I had lined it so it would look nicer. It would even look nicer if I had even serged it, but I couldn't because my serger is currently out of service, so it looks kind of ugly. I might go back and fix that, just add a lining onto it, or I might just keep this as a sample, and the next time I make a ribbon corset, I'll know how to line it. The pattern for this corset originally gave something like a 30-inch waist, but I modified it to give a 24-inch waist. This teeny tiny bow here actually has its own story. I only had about 5 inches of this blanket binding left, so I went to the fabric store to buy more of it because I wanted this great big fluffy bow right at the top, but they were all sold out of it and they weren't going to stock anymore, so I just kind of had to make do with what I have. I could have just not put a bow on, but you know, what's the fun in that? And anyway, my busk was slightly too long and I didn't think to grind it down beforehand, so I just wanted to hide that part. The bow is stitched onto the loop side. If I unclip it here, you can see that it's stitched onto the loop side right here on the very edge actually. So when you unclip the busk, it swings back, but when the busk is fastened together like this, then you can see it stays nicely in place and it looks like it's centered. So you can see here the horizontal panels, they're not simply overlapping the way that I did the other ribbon corset, but I actually sewed them down together like this. And it actually took a lot of work because I had to print match all of these colors together. Basically, I had to turn 5 meters of this style blanket binding, fuse it, and turn it into this. And it's actually not as easy as one might think because, you know, all the pieces curve and everything. And so it was basically print matching except on 20 different seams. So yeah, it took a lot of time and it also created a lot of waste, unfortunately. The busk is the first time that I used the buttonhole method instead of my usual method to insert the loop side. And even though I prefer the look of my usual method to this one, I have to say this is really fast to do, much faster than my usual method. There are 12 bones total in this corset. There's a flat bone on either side of the busk. Also 1/4-inch wide flat bones on either side of each set of grommets. And then 6 spirals, 3 on each side panel of the corset. You notice that these boning channels seem to be unnecessarily wide, but even though the pattern called for, I think, 4 bones on each side panel, I decided to go with 3 just because there was so much material inside, because there's this panel here, an identical panel on the inside here, and also all that fabric from each of these panels there. So I just couldn't I didn't have enough space to shove 4 bones in there, so I just decided to make do with 3. In the back, I used purple 550 paracord because I think there's not enough purple in this corset. A lot of the purple unfortunately got either cut out or covered up. Paracord is a fat cord, so in my experience, it grabs well, but the knots are rather loose. So instead of making a knot at the bottom, I don't know if you can see that, I just melted the 2 ends at the bottom together with my candle, and so that is not going to come apart ever. Of course, if you're the type of person to change your laces quite regularly, then you won't want to do this melting method. But I don't foresee taking off these laces anytime in the next few months. So when I do, I'll just take scissors and snip on either side of that melting point. It saves me the headache of the bottom knot coming apart whenever I go to tighten this up. The one pet peeve I have about this corset, other than my bow at the top being too small for my taste, is this bottom seam down here. This was this one seam that I haven't been able to match up perfectly. It's off by about 2 millimeters. I kid you not, I actually measured it. It's off by 2 millimeters, but 2 millimeters is enough to be able to see the difference to the naked eye. And so whenever I see this corset, my eye just goes right to it, and it's so annoying. I can hear my grandmother telling me to, pick it out and do it over again, and I might do that. Unfortunately, the way that I fuse this fabric together, it shows every little pinprick, so I'm really hesitant to take out all this stitching right there and do it again because it might just end up looking messier than before. So, I mean, if this were a commission, I would just redo that busk. But since I was only planning on wearing this corset for one day, I don't know, I might do it, I might not. Or I might just stick a bow on there to hide it.
So I hope you enjoyed my overview of this absolutely crazy ribbon corset. And if you have any questions or comments, you know what to do. And I will talk to you in the next video.